And welcome to the Detroit Lions News podcast. I'm your host, Joe Chap, along with my other host, James. We are previewing this Bengals game because I don't know, man. This game seems like a game like last week, except the Bengals might be worse than the Browns, and I don't think we would have said that before the season, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean the early part of the schedule, I think everyone kind of was hoping the Bears and the Browns games would be wins.
Yeah,
But I think the Ravens are, with injuries and just how the beginning of their season has gone, they're not anywhere near as good as what people thought. They were a little bit. They had at least some of these guys when the Lions played them as compared to the last couple weeks, but and then certainly the Bengals. I mean, that was a game that I think going into the year as a Lions fan, you thought that was going to be a very important game because that was a game that was maybe going to be more of a toss up. uh, but you certainly, didn't go into it thinking, yeah, we'd be a double digit favorite on the road against Jake Browning. So, and, looking ahead too, like Tampa Bay's really beat up as well. They're probably one of the most injured rosters in the NFL. So, and even Minnesota as well. So, it may be the luck of last year and everything going against their way with the injuries. Maybe we'll get the opposite this year.
yeah. I think when we came into this year, I think everyone thought, going into the what was it? You had 3 games, 6 games, 6 games of the season. You're hoping to be 3-3 at the least. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that the Lions are, 3-1 with the chance to go 4-1, maybe 5-1. They play Kansas City to, change out that 6 game, stand. But you posted something interesting just a couple of days ago, and I put this on here, but it's another 3-1 quarter for the Lions. Like if you look at those quarters, all those quarters that the Lions have had, starting week 9 of 2022 and including playoff games, the Lions have gone 3-1 or better in 11 of their last 13 four-game quarters. And you always hear people talk about it from like the NFL perspective. Like you always gauge it in quarters, right? Like who's the better team? Like who's been hot? Who's been not? Who's fallen off? You look at the Lions, like quarters. I mean, they've had two and two quarters, but they haven't had like a one a 2-2. They haven't had 1-3 or 0-4. Hasn't happened since then.
I mean, it's crazy. The consistency of this team, and I mean, I know the stat people always point to too is they haven't lost back-to-back games in like I think over 3 years now or close to it. Um, it's pretty remarkable that one specifically, but then just the 4 game quarters. I mean, that's a very teams talk about that in their building. I know there was a clip last year of Alex Anzalone after getting a game ball saying, we got to go 3-1 or better in all these quarters. So it's definitely something that's emphasized, I think, and people, the team's aware of, and they don't just want to tread water or go backwards. You're trying to always, stack wins, and they've done a just it's crazy with the consistency of this team, especially any longtime Lions fan, knows that this is not normal for any team. Certainly our franchise.
Yeah, I know it's insane what they've been able to do over this course of God, almost 2-3 years now. But every game they're just going out there and it's you said it before, like you don't think that the Lions will ever overlook an opponent. Like this is a game this week that against the Bengals where I guess you can overlook the opponent because of obviously they got Jamar Chase and they got T. Higgins, but like you look at the offensive line, horrible. You look at that, defense outside of Trey Hendrickson and the defensive line, horrible. Especially stopping the run, they're horrible. And like there's no one in the league that is like as bad as them. And usually when you have a backup quarterback like Jake Browning, who he had success last, a couple years ago,
He's
but then
probably a solid backup quarterback, all things said, but he's still a back. Yeah, he's a backup quarterback.
but when you think about it like this, I mean, like they're run blocking, okay? Like you would think that the backup quarterback needs a lot of help, right? He needs a run game. Well, what are the Bengals rank in run block grade in the NFL? They rank 32nd, and their PFF grade is 35. let's put that in perspective. 35. The Bengals have 35. The Buccaneers just ahead of them have 49, and then you go up the ladder to the Detroit Lions, who are, you know, fourth in the league next to the Cowboys, Rams, and Bills. They're at 71, so they're 50 points better. So that just tells you all you need to know right there.
Yeah, you know what? This Bengals team, I think it's not stating anything crazy, but the reality of that franchise is they are, and they've outwardly showed it with the contracts that they've given to these guys. But they're basically a 3 to 4 man team, literally, and it's on Joe Burrow to basically backpack the entire franchise and be unbelievable. And even that hasn't been enough, though. I mean, Joe Burrow had one of the greatest statistical seasons in the history of quarterback play last year, and it resulted in the Bengals still being awful. So they decided to give T. Higgins a huge deal. That was a guy that is a wide receiver too. You could have, I know he's great, but they could have traded him or moved on from him and put that elsewhere. Obviously, there's that kind of hilarious meme that I think both franchises are aware of, where the one where you draft Penei Sewell, you can throw the ball to anyone. You don't draft Penei Sewell, you get your quarterback killed, even if you have Jamar Chase. So this team has just neglected caring about definitely the offensive line, and really, and now the defensive line too. And the last thing I guess I would say on them is I think they probably made a huge mistake in getting rid of their defensive coordinator, Lou Amarillo,
Oh
or
yeah,
Amaruno.
yeah.
I think that that's something that any analyst or anyone you talk about would say that was a really dumb thing that the Bengals did. And now he's having success in Indianapolis. So I think they even it took us, you even look at the margins that they were good in last year and that they didn't rank amazingly in, but now they're even taking a step back there. So it's just kind of a total disaster of a franchise, quite frankly. Like, it's Joe Burrow, looks better as the day goes on, honestly. The fact that they went to a Super Bowl and were pretty, they could have won that game. But, it does kind of look like that's going to be very difficult for them to repeat.
It's just funny because if you look back on it, like you just said, the Penei Sewell, where they could have drafted Penei Sewell, and they said, no, we're going to draft the pass catcher Jamar Chase, which is fine because he is a good football player. There's no doubt about it. No one's saying.
Yeah, he's incredible, for sure.
But you think about it, like, okay, you could have had a guy like Sewell that could have been the linchpin of that line who protects Joe Burrow, and it's like, come on, man. Like, what you know in football is it starts in the offensive line, defensive line, and then you work your way out. I mean, we know as Lions fans over the course of Matt Stafford's tenure, we had some good wide receivers, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate. For a while, they had Titus Young before he went AWOL. Anyways, but you don't win games like that, man. Like, you can't win games like that. Like, you got to run the ball. You got to be able to defend. You got to be able to do everything that you can to win the game.
Yeah, and I guess the last point I'd make on it too, before I move on to a different topic on it, but it is interesting that there was, I think it was Dave Burkett that put it out, but it's not a new story, that Penei Sewell thought he was going to get drafted by the Bengals. Like, that was a team that he was going into draft night being pretty kind of convinced he was going to go to Cincinnati, and so maybe they kind of made a last second decision there to pick Jamar Chase. But yeah, this, I really think with this Bengals team too, is my opinion, I think, has changed too on Zach Taylor, just because watching this team play, and he's supposed to be like an offensive guy, like they just do like dumb things. Like last week, like 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2, and they're throwing 45-yard one-on-one like go routes to Jamar Chase with their backup quarterback. It's like, I mean, it just doesn't make, like, watching them play even doesn't make sense. Like, I know you don't have Joe Burrow now, but I don't know. Like, Zach Taylor, I don't know how much he really is able to. Seems like his team is kind of gets checked out easily and gets like frustrated with each other a lot too, like just over the last couple of years.
Well, I think he's like your stereotypical offensive coordinator guy. Because if you look like across the league, like okay, like Dan Campbell, he's your head coach, right? Like you know that he leads that locker room. You know that everything runs through him. The buck stops there. I think you can say the same for the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell. He's an elite offensive mind, probably one of the best offensive minds in football, in my opinion, for what he does with all the quarterbacks that he's had with Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, whatever the hell he has this year, Carson Wentz or JJ McCarthy. Like he's a damn good offensive coordinator. And I think that like when you look at Zach Taylor, you should be good with all the talent that you have on offense. And as an offensive play caller, shouldn't your offensive line be like the thing that you rely heavily on? Instead, you're like a spread team. And it's kind of like what they're doing in Tennessee with Cam Ward because Cam Ward's out there and he's saying that they're ass, which I thought that was the best comment.
Yeah, that was a funny quote. Yeah.
But it's like yeah, they're ass because Brian Callahan came from Cincinnati and they play like Cincinnati. They don't play with the toughness, they don't play with the tenacity. Like I could at least tell you right now, I didn't think Ben Johnson was going to be the best head coach, but you could see Chicago starting to turn a corner and starting to be like a little bit of a tougher team to play against. Same thing for the Jets if they can get out of their own ways. I think Tanner Engstrand has a lot to learn with his offensive play calling, which is probably why he didn't get the job in Detroit. But I mean, you see the same with the things. You see the same thing you see with the Jets. You see with the Jets. You see with the Eagles. Like the good teams in the NFL, there's two things that stand alone. They do everything by the book, and their coaches coach the players that they have. They don't coach outside what they know. You know what I'm saying? Like McVay. McVay's a prime example. He's an offensive mind, and guess what he's relying on the most this year? Defense. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and I think an element that gets underlooked too is, and now that we've seen it firsthand in Detroit, is constructing a roster that your GM and head coach is like everyone is just fully aligned with the plan for every player. Going back to playing Cleveland this week or this past week, I know it's all I have a bunch of Browns fans, and it's always like we drafted this guy because the owner stepped in and wanted to get him, but the head coach thought it was dumb, or they did this because the GM actually wanted him, but the head coach really wasn't aligned with it. And I think that happens like way more frequently than we think. And like you see it play out when things don't go right, and when you're not everything doesn't go according to plan, and you have to rely on your roster to stick together and everyone be on the same boat. And it just seems like in a lot of these organizations, people start going different ways. So, that's just something that I think stands out now that we've seen it with the Lions.
Well, I mean, you look at it like the Jets. Like, what is the one thing that drives them back? Their ownership. I think you could say the same thing with the Tennessee Titans, and I think you could say the same thing with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, the Bengals' problem is ownership because they're cheap. Like, whenever you ever seen an NFL team literally sell TVs from their concourse on Facebook Marketplace, that was the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, if you at that point, like I mean, I just like laugh. Like if I was a fan of them, like everyone talked about the Fords and how they didn't want to win or whatever the case might be, but they show that they wanted to win, whether they knew how to win or they didn't know how to win. They were spending the money to get players like Damian Woody and freaking Kyle Vanden Bosch and whatever money they threw at some free agents. But like, I mean, the Brown family, they're just like, no, we're not going to pay for this guy. Like they didn't even want to pay for Joe Burrow. Like they had to pick.
They made it a chore to sign their first round pick. Like that was, it wasn't their second round, whatever one it was, second round pick. I mean, they made
it's
inventing new ways to piss off their players.
They literally so their stadium is called Paycor Stadium now. It used to be Mike Brown Stadium after the Mike Brown Sr. They did that to pay Joe Burrow. They didn't do that for any other reason. They were like, we're not going to lose money here, so we're going to take money from this place and we're going to, sign Joe Burrow. That's the only reason they signed Joe Burrow. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed Joe Burrow, and that's just the difference between your ownership and their ownership and other ownerships across the league. Like, I think another guy that will burn anything he needs to win is that Crockett in LA. He does a damn good job, and Jerry Jones he tries, but he doesn't know what the hell he's doing
That
either.
was a
So
that was a crazy game this past week.
I
The
know the
Dallas
40-40 tie,
clock
man.
operator screwed them. They should have won. How did that
I know.
not go to 0? That was like the longest second ever.
Well, I don't know how you don't call it. I don't know how you don't call that an incompletion later than it hit the bar at 1 second. So like, doesn't it have to hit the ground? Like, doesn't it have to hit the ground, or can it hit the bat?
The ground is when it dead. So it hit
And
off
it
his
did. It
back,
did.
and then it kind of got the broadcast was right that it like hit his back and almost like shot straight down. That would have like popped up like at all, which you see a lot in those situations. It would have definitely hit 0. They got
I
incredible. That was like worse than the Bears one last year. Because at
yeah.
least the Bears one, they got sacked on the play before, and they like all had to run back. And I mean, you have a rookie quarterback, you have a disaster. You have Matt Eberflus on the sideline.
Well,
Like
I
for
thought
Jordan Love they had all the time in the world. Like the fact that they ran out of time really in that
is a joke.
situation is kind of unbelievable. I mean, they basically didn't give themselves that last play had like no chance to do anything. They should have like won the game by getting a touchdown.
I had a Packer fan that he's a Packer. He does a Packers podcast over in Wisconsin. He does a good job. Actually, one of the best podcasts for the Packers that you'll see next to Grossi and all those guys. Anyways, he told me like, it's like Pack Daddy or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's on Twitter too. He's a menace on Twitter. But anyways, not the Locked On Packers guy. The guy that was Pete, whatever.
Yeah.
That guy's a
All
dingling.
the Lions fans hate that guy.
He's such a douche. Like he just is. He'd seen whatever. But even he said like when you look at Green Bay and you look at Matt LaFleur, it seems like he's like the guy that will. You got to wait for him to lose the game.
Yeah, I don't. That guy's not winning a Super Bowl. I will
always
until it happens. I can believe that because I don't trust that guy. He's not winning them a Super Bowl.
Like
Did you see his explanation the other day? What he said the other day?
Yeah, it was Banana Land.
He basically said like he was a deer in the headlights and didn't know what to do at the end of the game, and it was like watching a car wreck. It's like, dude, you're the head coach. How did you let that happen? Like, it was they got unbelievably lucky.
It was after the Packers. Remember the Packers Lions game on Amazon Prime, which was a game where the Lions they shouldn't have won, to be honest, because like they were totally beaten, battered, and bruised. And they come out and they win that game with Quan Alexander and Jamal Adams as their linebackers. Like that's how you know you're effed. But the guy that was talking about, he was saying like, look, you knew at some point Matt LaFleur was going to give you a chance to win that game. And Dan Campbell said, no. I'm not giving the ball back to him. I'm keeping the ball. And that's where LaFleur went wrong. He should never, ever gave Campbell the ball because he knows where Campbell is going to do. Well, he's going to take the clock down. They're going to wind it down, and they're going to kick a field goal. That's the way it is. And even the Packer fans are like, dude, this guy he's our guy compared to your guy is two different things. It's same thing with Zach Taylor. Like Zach Taylor is another guy. Like he can't manage a clock to save his life. If there is a situation where he needs to manage a clock at like halftime or God forbid at the end of the game, he can't do it. Like they're so. I remember the Bengals roughed a punter. And you remember that in Dallas? Yeah. They roughed a punter to lose the game. It's like, wait.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh my god! But it's funny because Ali McNeil has come back.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the biggest story for the Lions right now. I would think for sure. I mean, I personally did not think he would be back anywhere close to this, but I mean, with the way they're talking about it, I mean, he should be back before the bye, I guess is what it sounds like. Like maybe week 7 against Tampa Bay is a realistic.
No. It sounds like I'll play the clip from Calvin Shepard, but it sounds like Kansas City is going to be the one.
Okay, I mean that'd be incredible.
That's what it sounds like. But in my opinion, like I don't know about you, but we were talking about this before about Ali McNeil, and we were like, oh, we'll see him in
I thought
Yeah,
after Thanksgiving.
yeah, we thought after Thanksgiving for sure,
Yeah.
and and now we're looking at it like this, and we're going, wow, like he could be here before the bye, like it's insane, and it's like it just sucks because I went through the other day like his win percentage and then how he affects other people in terms of like when he's on the field, and Hutch's win percentage goes up to like 29.3 or something. And when Levi was on the field with the Leam and DJ Reader was on the field with the Leam, theirs went sky high to their career highs. But then when they went out, it dropped a little bit because he is a huge piece of the puzzle. And I put it out there on my Twitter, but I don't know if you saw it. But basically, the way it is in 2024, I got it right here. Oh damn it, I just missed it. In 2024, where is it? Boy. Oh yeah, his pass rush run percentage. Ali McNeil, 2024 is 14.5. That was sixth best in the NFL. And then in 2023, it was 12.5. That was 21st in the NFL. So I mean, you think about it like this: he's gotten better every year, and he's a menace in the inside, and not many people can really deal with him. So the way I look at it is like, okay, you get a Lee McNeil back, sweet, dude. Like that's what you need. You got two of the best edge rushers in the NFL right now in terms of sacks. They're top 10 in sacks. El Qadim Muhammad's top 10 in sacks, and so is
Bob
Hutch.
Muhammad, as Mike
Bob
Malone
Muhammad,
calls
yeah.
him.
Or and then he changed. Then he
He
changed
calls
his,
him Almondine too. Almondine Muhammad.
and then they changed his Wikipedia to.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's hilarious. When I heard that, I was dying.
So you know who TJ tried to interview after the game? Bob
Was it
Muhammad.
him? It
Yeah,
was
it was,
him? Wow, unbelievable.
he's like, "Did you hear about your Wikipedia page getting changed?" He's like, "No, man. What?" They're like, "You got changed because of the radio people," and he's like, "What?" Then
Well, I gotta hear. That's unbelievable. I gotta find that interview.
I was like, "Man, this is great." I heard on the night someone ticket. I was like, "This is unbelievable." But it just Ali McNeil come back is huge, and Calvin Shepard said something about that today. He was talking to the media, and he was saying like, "Look, I'm excited for him to come back." And does this sound to you like he is coming back pretty soon?
I told Dan yesterday, it's amazing when you watch those practice clips. It's like he's been at training camp. I mean, he does not look like a player that hasn't practiced. And that's credit to him. I know all this bone density and all these guru terms they throw out. But all I know is I see a very, very high caliber defensive tackle when I turned on the tape yesterday. So I'm very excited to have him back out there. I told Dan yesterday, it's amazing.
I tell you what, man. I don't know why he kept going, but dude, if he's better than he was before the injury, sign me up, man. Because I think this defense is going to be lights out.
Yeah, I mean, I know you were talking about what's DJ Reader's I think DJ Reader's pass like his win rate on rushes is like a career high right now, I think. I think
Mhm.
he's like almost 12% right now.
Yep.
He's been playing phenomenal, and that's a guy that even when that's not really his thing. Like he just takes on a lot of double teams and doesn't lose any ground. Um, they're, I mean, it's going to be pretty exciting when Aleem McNeil gets back because you have, I mean, even on the interior, you have a pretty incredible three-man rotation there with DJ Reader, Tyreek Williams, and obviously Aleem McNeil leading the way of those three. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, the edge group, I thought Aiden, I mean, I tweeted this out during the Browns game that I thought that was one of Aiden Hutchinson's best games he's played. I mean, it just felt like every single snap he was impactful and doing something. If not taking on a double team, beating it and getting in the backfield. You have El Quadin Muhammad playing great. Even the Tyler Lacey, I think, in a very limited role has looked pretty good. I actually looked into him more today, and they were kind of talking about the Lions, how he was more of an interior player. And the Lions have been playing him on the edge, and he looks pretty good on the edge. I mean, he kind of is in the Marcus Davenport mold, and he's just a massive guy that just is like, pushing pushing his guy back, kind of crushing the pocket is, the term that Dan Campbell I think likes to use. But they have a nice rotation right here now, and they've kind of been quiet about Josh Pascal. I kind of wonder if if that guy will be back. But outside of that, I mean, they're going to be getting, they're going to get Marcus Davenport back. They said at some point, for the most, they're going to get Rodriguez back, I think,
Yep.
at some point. Their linebackers are playing incredible right now. I mean, that was probably the position that I just like. I felt good about the linebackers, but I very much was like, are they gonna ever be more than just a really solid unit? I mean, they're playing. I think all of them are playing at a very high level. So I think there's a lot to be pretty excited about with this defensive front right now, and the defense at large. I mean, sucks that DJ Reed got hurt, but if he's maybe a 4 or 5 week thing, Terry Arnold looks like he's gutting it out and should be good to go this week. The safeties are still playing really well. Kind of maybe dodged one with Kirby Joseph. He's not practicing right now, but hopefully he's kind of good. So
the good thing about the injuries in the cornerback room is I feel like this is the first time that you've had depth in the cornerback room. Like, I think that Khalil Dorsey is criminally underrated as a cover guy. I think Rock Ya-Sin and Avonte Maddox add a veteran element to the cornerback room. And I feel like Amik Robertson, he could step in and be just fine. And
yeah,
I
honestly,
think
that's probably the biggest part of it too. You feel like you can just put him anywhere and he's going to do a good job.
Because I feel like back in the day, like, okay, you lost like Carlton Davis, like who was going to come in and fill out for him, or you lost like Darius Slay back in the day, or someone like that. You lose someone like that, fine, but like you lose a guy like DJ Reed, it sucks. It does, but it's 4 games perhaps maybe 5 or 4. But they say because of the bye, they're just going to put him on IR just to get him more time or whatever. But basically, the way it goes is you got more depth in the cornerback room. I think your secondary has more depth than it's ever had, and like you can skate by on this. I mean, what we've seen from the Lions in terms of how they've dealt with injuries is it doesn't matter who's injured; they're gonna next man up. Like it, and I know that's a stupid term, next man up, because I hate it. I hate the next man up term because like you go next man up, and then you go next man up, and then you go next man up, and
Yeah,
your next man up
is screwed.
Your next man up is a freaking guy that was at Best Buy the other day.
Yeah.
Like what are you talking about? But with this team, like they have depth, man. Like to get 15-2 last year with 18 players on IR, I mean that tells you all you need to know about this team, the way that they do things in that general manager and front office, like the way that they build the team. And when they didn't bring back Darius Smith, I said, okay, they have something brewing, maybe, or they believe someone is going to break out. And look at Bob Muhammad, Al-Quadin, Almadine, like whatever the hell you call him. He's breaking out, and I just like I know people like to wonder what Holmes is up to, what he thinks, and why he didn't go get this guy, and why you're seeing why. Like you're literally seeing in real time why. Like he's got to get this guy, he's got to get this guy, and he's doing a good job managing the cap, and that's what you need right there. But Kelvin Shepard said something about DJ Reed right here, and I'll play it because I think it's very good to your point. Wait, what the hell is that? All right,
A lot of respect for Reader. I mean, a 10-year vet that's still out there right now taking 40 snaps a game at 330 pounds. It's amazing to see, coming off an injury 2 years ago. So that's my guy, man. DJ Reader is a leader on this defense, and he holds things together up front.
So you heard Calvin Shepard right there. Like that was right to James's point was DJ Reader. He came off one of the worst injuries that you could have as a football player. His hamstring got tore off the bone which is something that you really don't like to talk about because it's kind of gruesome, man. When you think about it, like your hamstring literally tore off the bone, but it did, and he's back and he's still playing at a high level. And like you said, I looked it up just now, in terms of his pass rush grades. I mean, when you think about DJ Reader, he's definitely got better as a pass rusher because he's having one of the best years that he's ever had in terms of rushing a passer because he's 68th in the NFL. And his pass rush grade, that's pass rush grade, but his win rate is right up there too. Let me see where it is. I had the pass rush grade. Oh, 46. So he goes to 46 right there in pass rush win rate. And you want to say like who is he by? Like who is he by, right? You know who he's tied with, James? You know who
Who?
he's tied with? I think this guy is a pretty good player. I really do. I think he's one of the best defensive tackles in the game, Ed Oliver.
Yeah, no doubt. I
So,
think DJ. I mean, I was a huge fan of that signing when it happened. I viewed it as like kind of a splash type signing. DJ Reader's, one of the biggest. That's really one of the last times, like when Cincinnati felt like they didn't need to bring back DJ Reader. That was like the beginning of the end for them in terms of like, yeah, we can get rid of this guy who has just been the anchor of our defensive line and takes on double teams and I think he even had a sack in the Super Bowl. He was actually on the mic'd up for the Lions last week. I think you got a good view of his leadership and I think just the calm presence that he is on the sideline. There's been lots of reports about how big he's been with Tyleik Williams, working next to him and just how that's just a foregone conclusion with him that he wants to impact the younger guys on the roster. That's a guy that they identified as an outside guy. You had to trust that Brad Holmes was bringing in the right type of person. So that was a given. But his play, I think, has been, especially this year, I think he is really playing at a big time level. I mean, he has been, just as good as probably anyone that's, playing the role that he's playing.
I mean, I think it's another person that the Cincinnati Bengals got cheap with, and they didn't pay him what he was pretty much owed. He deserved to get paid, and they said, "No, we don't need you," because they got good defensive tackles with the Cincinnati Bengals, but I felt like that sometimes when you don't pay your veteran players who got you so far, sometimes it sends a message to the locker room, like saying, like, look, I don't care what you do. We're not gonna pay you, especially if you're old and injured, and you can get the F out of here. I think that really does hurt your morale in terms of the way you're trying to do things. And I just thought it was DJ Reed, like you said, you were saying DJ Reader, like he's having a great year, and then Calvin Shepard comes up there and says, "Yeah, he's doing great." And I was like, I had to play that because I thought that was the most important part. But so let's get on to we'll get on to some of the quarter poll. We did some of the quarter poll with your stat there, but here's some point differential by quarter. They're -3 in the first quarter, +16 in the second quarter, third quarter +10, and then the fourth quarter they added on +26. So I don't know what you make out of it. I think because they've let the team go down the field and score a touchdown right away, and then they lock it down after whatever the case may be. But I mean, it's a lot better than when Ben Johnson was the coordinator because I believe when I did this last year or last 2 years, the third quarter was the worst one.
Yeah, I know. Lions Twitter kind of referred to it as the turd quarter, TURD, because they were always horrible. Like the first drive out of the third quarter, and then just in general, it's normally kind of a negative quarter for them. Certainly, what you pointed out with the opposing team scoring a touchdown every drive to start the game, that's been a negative. But that's also how many times are you following a football game and they're talking about the scripted opening drive? Almost every team in the league is decent at it to a degree offensively. So if they can improve on that a little bit, that'd be great. But that's it's more so telling that they're able to then adjust from there and be really good. And the third quarter I think is a real thing in terms of it being important because the end of the half, start of the third quarter can be such big swings in NFL games.
Right.
That's something Bill Belichick probably was one of the first ones that he said he really valued that. And that's a multiple possession swing right there if you execute it perfectly. And on the flip, the Browns game, I think it was 17-3 at one point, and the Browns had the ball and they were getting it to start the third quarter. It's like, this isn't really a game, but they trip into a drive and it's 17-10, and then they get the ball to start the third quarter. It can be a different thing. And instead, the Lions end up putting together the 2-minute drill drive and got the 56, 58-yard kick from Jake Bates, and they're up, 2 full touchdowns basically at the half. Those are really big swings. So if this team can actually be a good third quarter team, I think that could, that's probably pretty significant. And the fourth quarter as well, I think, is telling to, the type of team that they want to be, and their identity is they want to wear you down throughout the course of a game. And then by the fourth quarter, the floodgates can kind of open, out of nowhere pretty easily, just because their style of play and how they're wearing on you. So I think those are great signs right there.
Well, I go back to what Pat Kerr went on the Sirius XM moving the chains, whatever. He said something about Bill Parcells, and ironically, that is the person that Dan Campbell and Sean Payton learned off of. But he always says that when he had a chance to destroy a team in the second quarter, late in the second quarter, like he knew if he scores, they're controlling the game and they're gonna get the ball, or they're gonna put the pressure on them to score right out of half. Like he always knew that if you did that and you just dominated the fourth quarter, you'll never lose. And that was his philosophy. Like he didn't care about he said something about there was when he was hit with the Jets or whatever. He said, I don't care if we win 10-7. If we dominate the second and fourth quarter, we're gonna win the football game because those are the two end of the half situations. And he goes, you can kind of sneak it along. And it's kind of the same thing with Dan Campbell, because you look at it like 16 and 26, those are the 2 quarters that they care about the most. And I'm pretty sure that he remembers what Bill Parcells said. So I don't know, man. I think that this is a very, very this team has playing very well. And going into the season, I don't think anybody said coming into this part of the season that you would, just destroy teams like in Chicago. We thought the Chicago game might be a little bit closer. Wasn't. Baltimore, you put up 38 points on them. I mean, I know their defense is not great, but you put up 31 points on the Browns. So, I mean, that just tells you exactly where you are. Like the Browns defense is no joke, and you ran all over them. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think it's right here. Where is it? Right here. Jahmyr Gibbs had more rushing yards on Sunday than the Bengals 46, the Ravens 45, and the Packers 81 recorded as a team. Like a team. Not even just one person, just a team, man. And I that's credit to the Detroit Lions offensive line, the offensive coordinator, and everyone involved, because, I mean, like I said, the Browns are no joke. They're not a joke of a team. They really are a hell of a football team. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do. And I want to put this out on there because this is a quarter point for the Lions offense and Lions defense. I got all the PFF grades on there. You can go to my Twitter if you're following this along at Detroit Joe Chap or JC Sports, whatever, because I renamed it. But you see the defenses they went against, offenses they went against. Even on defense, the highest rank that they have is 22nd, which is third down percentage. And the highest rank that they have on offense is 11th third down percentage. So I would say those are pretty big deals. But when you're as good as they are on offense, I mean, I don't know what you make out of this, Tyler, with the team rankings and everything. We talked about the quarter early on, but I just wanted to give this little gnome, even PFF grades, the defensive grade, they're 6th. Tackling grade, they're 2nd in the league. Pass rushing grade, they're 6th in the league. Coverage grade, they're 11th. Like they're no worse than 13th in any grade that they have on the PFF. And then like you look at the defenses that they win against, and you look at the offenses they win against. Like we went against the 3rd best offense, the 12th best offense, and the 9th best offense. So obviously the defense has got tested. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, maybe you can make a case for potentially the defense because you went against the 13th, 25th, 32nd, 24th. But I will say to that, when you score as many points as you do on the Bears, and then you score as many points as you do on the Browns, and then you score 38 on the Ravens, their defenses aren't going to look at much better in a 4-game sample size. So just take that in the whole cake.
Yeah, and I think honestly that graphic is perfect to the next point I wanted to make here, and how much basically the whole conversation this offseason was about the Lions coordinators and the Lions coaching staff. It's still very early, 4 games into all that, but I really do think that Dan Campbell, who proved even going in, even before going into this offseason that he was elite with his staff management, I really think he has done an unbelievable job. I mean, take the coordinators out of it I think I really feel good about both of them. I think Kelvin Shepard's a future head coach in the NFL. I think John Morton, if you're a Lions fan, I think how this looks right now so far in just the eye test and the feel of it, I think I feel incredible about what this looks like with John Morton and how the players are talking about it and everything like that, and how the product actually looks. And then beyond that, you retain Hank Fraley, who it clearly looks like is the best offensive line coach in the NFL, and keeping him was massive. Tashard Choice, I think, was an incredible kind of almost out of the box type hire, going to, taking into account what Jahmyr Gibbs wanted, going to, the college ranks and believing that would be a seamless transition, which I think it has been, putting more trust into Scotty Montgomery, who I think Dan Campbell clearly thinks very highly of. If you look on the sidelines, David Shaw is, I think, a very big presence on this team. I mean, when you're, when they have like 15 seconds in a timeout or something, and Jared Goff only gets a quick second, it's always David Shaw right there next to Dan Campbell. I think he's kind of the voice for Jared Goff, relaying it up to John Morton in the booth. So I think that relationship, picking that out for Jared Goff, because I think that's someone that he's interacting with just as much as anyone on the staff. And I really think highly of David Shaw as a coach, but definitely a person and just a calming presence on the sidelines for this team. And then, defensively, I think Casey Rogers, stealing him from Tampa Bay, I think that was an incredible move by Dan Campbell. The Sean Dion Hamilton, the linebackers coach, who is up the ranks with this Lions staff and has been in this organization now for a little bit. I think they probably knew, if we're moving Kelvin Shepard to defensive coordinator, they probably knew they were moving him to linebackers coach. So I mean, this whole staff, it's impressive. Like being able to sit here and point out all the assistant coaches and feel like like they're at minimum, they seem to be pretty good hires. And that's not even, I basically didn't even mention the coordinators who, like I said, that was the big talking point. Those are what, the eyes that all were on going into this year. So 4 games in, it's hard not to feel like that's not going incredible.
I have a graphic, I think it is, but it was the coordinator ranking things, but I think it got lost on my page. But the Detroit Lions coordinator, I'll read it for you, and then I'll post it on my page and then Twitter for people that are on Twitter. But basically, the Lions coordinators, the offensive coordinator is a plus 44, and the defense coordinator is a plus 33. They have the 5th best coordinators in the NFL. The Chiefs are number 1. The Bengals, who you alluded to, Bengals giving up Lou Amaran. I can't say his
I
name. It's
always
always
get his name wrong. Like
and it,
Anarumo, I think.
yeah, Adarumo, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's Italian Heritage Month, so I can't get that wrong. And then the Bills are 3 and the Broncos are 4. I do find it interesting. Broncos, Sean Payton, Lions, Dan Campbell are right next to each other, but I mean, you look at the Bills; they got good coordinators. Colts, good coordinators, and then you look at the Chiefs. Steve Spagnuolo is a damn good coordinator. So that's all I look at. Like everyone thought coming in that the coordinators would be a huge deal. Obviously, they are a huge deal, but the Lions got the 5th best coordinators with they do the ranking the play callers for week 4, and they're 2 of the best. So that's how it goes. So it's been good there, but I just think that the play callers, like you said, all the coaches that they have on the staff. You mentioned David Shaw. I think he's a huge piece of the puzzle, and I think a guy like Casey Rogers, who came in from Tampa Bay, he's been a huge piece of the puzzle as well too. In terms of, I think they're getting more out of the defensive line now. I like Terrell Williams, and hopefully he beats that cancer. But him and Casey Rogers, like they were outside the organization. The coach went and got him, so that was good to see there. But I mean, it's just it's wild to me. Like even Terrell Williams was your defensive line coach. He has a .73 rating for him as a defensive coordinator. So you're all good there, man. So
I mean, you have to think that these at this point. I mean, it's clear that that's how it's played out. But like, if you're a coach, like you have to want to work with Dan Campbell, right? Like all things equal, if you're at your place and like, Dan Campbell calls you up and says, "Hey, we want to hire you." I mean, I think for the most part, obviously, if you're an offensive coordinator, you're not going to come here and be the quarterback's coach. But, if Dan Campbell calls you up and like thinks that, it would make sense for you to come and take the job, I don't know how he can't basically just make any call and get whoever he wants. I mean, I think that has to be a factor too. Like, and he's Dan Campbell's smart. He's not just, relying on himself. I'm sure he's getting, he has great contacts within the league and has a great, base that he surrounds his decision making with and everything like that. And I'm sure he, like I just mentioned with Rashard Choice, like going to Jahmyr Gibbs directly and factoring in what he had to say. So, I just think that situation, given that, you can get a call from Dan Campbell and I think you're probably taking the job, I think this team's always going to be in pretty good position to make good hires to his staff.
well, I mean, you think about it like this. I think it was either Wickersham from ESPN or Dan Graziano, and he basically said, like, I think it was Dan Graziano, but he said, you got the Lions, right? And you think about the Jets. Engstrand is their offensive coordinator. You look at Antoine Randall out with the Bears. You look at, he's having a lot of coaching trees going out. And I think you could see Shep being a head coach pretty soon. I think that eventually Sean Dion Hamilton will take over for Shep, and then he'll get a job. And then for offensive coordinator, I think that they're kind of grooming Scotty Montgomery or Tashard Choice to be that offensive coordinator, potentially Hank Fraley because he's a run game coordinator. So, like I said,
or you could have like John Morton could be a guy that just is here like a Spagnuolo where he's just
where he likes it.
At a point where he's just going to be an offensive coordinator and he just stays here. I could see that. I think they
kind
of talked about that too.
And some guys love that. Like they love that they could stay here and do what they need to do. And the coaches, they're buoyed. And John Morton was here before, so I mean,
he grew up in Michigan, right? I mean, he spent a lot of time here.
And I thought coming into the season, what he did with the pass game coordinator with the Broncos, I thought that was the most interesting thing because they didn't. I think they took 1% of their pass snaps under center. So you think about like that, and you can do it all from shotgun. With Jared Goff, you could do it both ways. You put him in pistol. So that is the most interesting part. But we move on to the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, the game preview we were going to get into, but we were talking about the quarter point. This is a good podcast, so it don't matter. As I said, the Lions are 10-point favorites. And then you look at like some of the statistics I'll point out here. There's a couple of statistics I was going to point out. The points per game, Detroit's first with 34.2, and the Bengals are 15.2, so they average 15 points less than you do. And then there's a matchup comparisons that the Detroit Lions are going to win in terms of the advantage that they have. The Lions offense versus Bengals defense. The Lions offense is number 1. The Bengals defense is number 23 in overall passing efficiency. The Bengals defense and overall rushing efficiency is 26, and then the Lions offense is 11. The pressure rate for the Bengals defense is 28th in the league. The Detroit Lions number 12, so they're up there right there. And then you go to the flip side, Bengals offense passing efficiency 30th. Detroit Lions are 16th in that category, so they're 15 points better. 15 spots ahead of them. Overall rushing efficiency, like this is what I talk about with the Lee McNeil comeback. Good luck running on the Detroit Lions because the Detroit Lions are 3rd in overall rushing efficiency. The Bengals are 32nd in the league in overall rushing efficiency, and I got a graph for this. You'll love this. This is from the guy who does it. You see him on Twitter. Eric Schlitt posted this.
Yeah.
I grabbed it, but look at how they run. Look at the success they have over the left tackle. They don't have any success over any of their offensive linemen whatsoever. And so for people listening on the podcast, let me just break it down for you. The rushing DVOA for the Bengals rush O is 32nd. The Detroit Lions are 4th in rushing DVOA. Rush yards per game. They average 50 rushing yards per game. The Lions stop you to 94 yards per game, which is 7th in the league. Rush yards per play, 2.6. That's 32nd in the NFL. The Detroit Lions are 3.8 and 7th in the league.
This is egregious for Cincinnati. This is really damning. Wow.
EPA
horrible against the run.
EPA per rush. This is where it gets gnarly. They're negative 0.22. Detroit Lions are negative 0.223, which means that they're 1st in the league in stopping the run. You look at 10-yard rushers, they're 32nd in the league. They've had 2. Detroit's allowed 12, which over 16, which if you think about the running backs they've won against, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, Derrick Henry, whatever the case may be. Their RYOE is they're 32nd, so that's over expected. Detroit's 13th in the league with 3. Rushing yards before contact average, they're 1.33 for the Lions, and they're negative 3.3 for the Bengals, which is 32nd in the league. And yards after contact attempt, so yards after contact, that was the other one was the yards before contact. The yards after contact 3.0, so 3 yards, 20th in the league.
What a surge forward, 20th.
So they got one thing working for them. That Chase Brown
20th. They boomed up there on that one.
But it proves to you that the Bengals, man, I feel bad for them. Like I really do feel bad for them because they're not good at anything. Like they're rushing. Like, I mean, you got a guy like Chase Brown, who I think is pretty good. He's averaging 2.3 yards per rush. That's horrible.
He's a really good player.
That's not fun. I mean, he's averaging 2.3 yards per carry. He has 150. He has 4 15-yard runs. Okay, that seems pretty good. But I mean, other than that, they're terrible. Like they are literally terrible. They fumble the ball. They have 2 fumbles on the year, which means when you can't run the ball and then you fumble the ball, I mean, it kind of goes against everything that you want to do. But I'm just like, dude, this game right here, and the game picks, the NFL game picks, they do the game picks, with the YouTube video and all that jazz. It's all Lions. Hey, there's not one person that's picking the Bengals. And it's kind of similar to last week with the Browns, but like we came into the season thinking the Bengals were going to be a Super Bowl team. Obviously, Joe Burrow leaves, but I don't think Joe Burrow would have fixed all this. Like, I really don't. Like, maybe it was a good thing he got hurt in essence because they can't run the ball. They can't pass protect. They can't, they can't run block. I mean, there was this one play that they had. I'll pull it up on my thing, but there was a play that they had where they had 4 players blocking the same player. You saw that? It was like insane to me. Like, I was like, wait, what? They're blocking the same players? I'll pull it up.
4 guys in the interior block 1 guy.
Yeah, so here it is. So I'll pull it up because I think this is something people should see. But
It's hilarious.
right here, it's going to be pulled up right now. So watch this. If you're on if you're on the podcast, listen to the podcast. You'll see this. You could go see it on the podcast. But look,
Pressure off the edge. Browning is down. It's Cooper.
so you had 3 people in the middle blocking one person, and then 2 come off the edge and they get to the quarterback. I mean, it just.
And for some reason, the running back who's looking right at it, like, doesn't think to go somewhere else when he sees that 3 guys are on one.
And it just doesn't make sense. And it goes back to like what we were saying. Like I look at the Cincinnati Bengals and I go, okay, like last week, right? How many pressures did they give up? How many pressures do you think they gave up, James?
25.
They gave up 14, which was, good enough.
Yeah.
Week 3 against the Vikings, they gave up 17, but they gave up 1 sack and 3 hits. All right, because they had 20 pass blocking attempts, so 17 out of 34 is not good. We go to week 2. How many did they give up? 15 to the Jags, so they're giving up 17 per game, and they gave up 11 to the Browns. So, and that was with Burrow half in the game. So,
right.
They're not a good team.
Really, I mean, this should be as simple as the Lions should dominate both lines of scrimmage, and I don't see how they don't win the game by doing that. Now, you still need weird things can happen if you have some crazy turnovers or something like that. So, they still need to take care of the ball. If they take care of the ball and, really, I think that should be the focus. Like, take care of the ball this week, and this should be fine because they should absolutely dominate running the ball. They should be forcing the Bengals into, tough third downs all game. And Jake Browning is not accurate. He's mistake prone, even if he does hit a couple big shots to Jamar Chase. And, for the Lions, like this is, I don't think they're a team under Dan Campbell that overlooks anyone or takes people lightly. Typically, if they're a huge favorite, they typically do that and more. They don't, they're not, they don't there's a lot of teams like the Steelers. I have a lot of Steelers fans. They always play these terrible teams down to the wire. That's just kind of what they do under Mike Tomlin. There's teams that will play down to their competition. Really, under Dan Campbell, the Lions have not. They take it as a challenge and say, hey, people think this is a game that we could overlook or something. Like, let's lock in even more and make sure we get the job done. So you should have full confidence in this Lions team to go to Cincinnati, a place where we'll see how many Lions fans go in terms of a percentage. But I think this could be one of the bigger takeover games that we've seen over the last couple of years. Everything about this game leads to a ton of Lions fans being in attendance. So that's something I'll definitely have my eyes on. But in terms of the game, this is a spot that the Lions should, challenge this team to a street fight and see if they have any interest in getting into it because from all accounts, they really don't.
Are you going?
I know I'm not. I kind of thought about it. Maybe I make a last second move, but
does Bowling Green have a home game this week?
No, they don't. So
see, that would have been the perfect weekend for you, man.
We might go. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
That was like
I think the Tigers are going to be playing too, though. I think on Sunday.
Yeah. That would be Because you said you wanted to go to that.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to go Saturday. But just in terms of whatever the timing of it is, if they're both like at the same time or something, I don't really want to miss one entirely. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But we go back to the rankings. The Lions are the best pass rush team besides Cleveland that the Bengals have played. They've gone against the 8th best pass rush, which was last week with the Broncos. For some reason, the Vikings are 20th in pass rush. I thought they'd be higher. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are 13th. So, look, they've been terrible against not so good teams. And, even like their run defense.
They should have lost to the Jags even. Like, I watched that game. That was an awful game. And, the Jags really should have put them away. The Bengals went for I criticize Zach Taylor. I'll give him credit for this. He went for like a 4th and 3, like inside his own like 25, like with still like time left. But it was like one where if you punt it away, maybe you just punted away the game, and they ended up getting the game-winning touchdown on that drive. But they're not a good team at all, and I really think it's one that if you can just get out to an early lead, like they're a team that will like this is going so badly for them. I think they already kind of feel like there's already some like defeat kind of setting in with their situation. Like if you
It
can
felt like
just go on a drive and take a lead, I think like that really could just open up the game instantly.
it felt like Monday. They just gave up. Like they got absolutely lambasted. You hear Jamar Chase.
You're on a short week too. Like
yeah, dude, it's
Monday
terrible.
night coming from Denver. Like I mean,
Like
who's
there
about
is.
this?
I don't know if you saw the memes, but NFL memes posted like, should there be a mercy rule this
Yeah,
week?
I did see that tweet.
And then Jeff Saturday on ESPN was like, the Bengals are gonna get mollywopped out there. Stephen is like, dude, all the people are like, dude, the Bengals are they're gonna get absolutely trash canned by the Lions.
Which makes me maybe a 1% scared, just because these guys are still, they have, maybe some of them have some dignity to themselves, but because like I said, you got to at least maybe get off to a good start. If they, they hit a big play to Jamar Chase and get a touchdown, and then maybe we have a wacky turnover or something. Just get ahead early. If you don't, it's not like the game's over, but I really feel like it's one. If you go up 7-0, like they could just implode immediately.
So I love Brad Galley. I think he's like one of the best sports reporters in the whole thing. He was talking to Hutch, and he says there's about trap games. And this is a minute clip. I want to play it for you guys that are watching, listening, that will listen on the podcast because you'll hear it, because it's basically Hutch saying like, look, we know that there's trap games, but this is how we roll. So I'll play it.
Game phrase. I know players throw it away. Dan even said with you guys, he doesn't have to say that to you guys because you guys respect every team. How much does maybe losing throughout your football journey help prepare you to be in this seat, the driver's seat, as a favorite?
Yeah, we're in a great position, and we don't take any opponent lightly. So, we're putting everything into this preparation, and we're going to be ready to go on Sunday.
That was a similar question posed to you in the same spot a week ago with the Cleveland team that you guys had respect for. It'll probably be asked again. The motivation in that room, when you look around, like, is that something that doesn't even need to be said?
For sure. Again, yeah, we have a lot of highly driven guys on our team and very, very competitive. So and in the NFL, week in, week out, you got to compete, and another guy from you is trying to make his paycheck. And it's just it's the DNA of our team.
So you hear there, like it's like the DNA. It's woven into the fabric of what they do, and you can tell they do. That's the way they take it. Because, the games last year, me and James were talking before the podcast. We were talking about the Tennessee game, because I was laughing because they were 20.5-point favorites. So they were a 3-touchdown favorite, which is unheard of. Okay. In this game this week, the Detroit Lions are 10-point favorites. Okay. For a road team to be a 10-point favorite over a home team is absolute banana lands. And you usually don't cover this number, because a lot of people will say you take the home dog. Well, I don't think people are going to take the home dog, but they might, because there might be some value there. But in terms of the betting, but I just saying, like, you look at it from a pragmatic approach. What he said is exactly what it is. Like, they don't take anybody lightly. It's like, do you ever go to a rec center and you're going against some older guy? He's like 50, 60 years old. He's got that old man strength, and he's bodying you down in the box, and he's just like, you take this, young man. Like, you're just like, damn, dude, he's not going any easier on me. That's kind of what the Lions are. Like, the Bengals are not this team that you really fear, but the Lions respect them because they know how it is. The Browns were not a team that you fear. Same thing. They took them out. You know what I'm saying? The Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars last year, they were not a team you feared at all. And you took them out to the woodshed and you beat the hell out of them. So what I'm trying to say is, it's proven that they don't really take these games lightly, man.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about the coaching here, and I think something that clip reiterates and is definitely, probably more important is the leadership on this Lions team. Like Aiden Hutchinson, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like these are guys that are not going to go into a game and let their team overlook an opponent and go into a game not wanting to put their best foot forward and uh, use it as an opportunity to get better. So that's something I think about a lot with this Lions team. Whenever like I myself am worried about something or whatever, I'm like, we really couldn't have a better leadership group on this team with Hutch, Penei, Goff, um, St. Brown, like those four guys specifically. I'm probably missing a guy or two, but you
Sewell.
have these guys, yeah, Sewell and Hutch, like those are guys that like I don't worry at all that they're not gonna be ready to play and have the guys around them be ready to play. So we really couldn't be more blessed in that situation to have the locker room that we do. Like, I mean, it's almost a cheat code that they have good coaching on top of it, because it does kind of feel like if you know, even if you threw these guys into like a chaotic situation, I feel like they would like this, how Brad Holmes is, you know, the DNA that is, Aiden Hutchinson used that word DNA. Like these guys are very specifically picked out to be on this team. It's just not in them really to, be anything other than, a together team.
Well, I think you hit on it, and I go back to someone who said something similar, and he actually played in the league, not like us, he actually played in the league, and it was Jim Miller. He does the moving the chains. He goes, you imagine going into the Lions locker room as a rookie and like looking at the way Hutch works and the way Sewell works and the way St. Brown works and Monty and Gibbs and Branch and Joseph, and you're going in there and you got to be like, holy hell, like I have to like do my part or they're gonna rip me apart. Like a guy like St. Brown catching balls after practice, bro, you're an all pro. What the hell you need to catch balls for? You know what I'm saying? Sewell is one of the best tackles, still takes everything like full force. Hutch is like he's just a hard ass worker, man. And that's the things you talk about. Like you come into a locker room with these guys and you think that you come from maybe like the Alabama football program, the Georgia football program in terms of Tate Ratledge, and you see Sewell your right side, and you're like, damn. And then you're on defense, and like you're a guy like Mekhi Wingo who comes from LSU. You're like, oh cool, I came from the SEC. You see Hutch, and you're like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Jameson Williams, reason probably why he got like so mature. I mean, watching St. Brown in the wide receiver room, you're probably going to get more mature. And like Gibbs with Monty and Goff with the quarterback room, it's just like I was just like, when Hooker was struggling in preseason, I was like, if he didn't learn now, he'll never learn, because he had chances to learn from the top echelon of quarterbacks. Teddy Bridgewater was definitely a great backup to have. Okay, and he was there his year 1 and year 2. Even Kyle Allen this year, like another great backup guy. But Goff is like a guy you can learn off. Like that's the guys you can learn off. And if you don't do it, you won't make the team. That's the way it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it really is great. Like hearing, Isaac Tesla, talk about Jared Goff and how like instrumental he's been since, the 10 minutes he got drafted. Jared Goff had already reached out to him. He talks, basically any interview I've heard from that guy. I heard another one this week just talk about how important he's been in his development and just his day-to-day life. And that's a guy that's probably your last option on offense, basically. So, this was a great clip.
I'll play it for people.
Yeah.
I got drafted. He was the first of the Lions players to text me. So I think that just shows he's a great leader. He wants everyone on the team to mesh well, and whether that's helping me study my playbook, pulling me aside during practice to run some routes that we know are going to be in the game plan, after practice running routes with him, one-on-ones, pulling me over to the ones, giving me some routes to run, giving me tips on how to run these routes. Obviously, he's a great leader for our team. Obviously, you never know how it's going to go when you're a rookie, how these vets are going to treat you. So I've been extremely blessed to have a quarterback like him be my leader and help me in this process.
So he reaches out. He says, "What's up? I'm Jared. Welcome to Detroit."
Yeah, it was. And I remember screenshot it sent it to all my buddies being like, Jared Goff just texted me.
I mean, that's cool. That's
That
cool.
is incredible, honestly.
Like he's not a guy who's like, he's pulling a rookie aside being like, you're going to be a part of this, dude. So get with the program. And that's kind of like what we're talking about. Like, the leadership on this team is exceptional. Like there's nothing you could say about this team in terms of the leadership and the way that they kind of like have it woven in their DNA. Like we talked about it with DJ Reed. Like I don't fear the injury because I know how they think. Like I know how the Lions think. Like they think like, okay, this guy goes down, right? Aleem McNeil is our best defensive tackle. Tyleek he comes in. They get this guy named Tyler Lacey, or they get the other guy, I forget his name, but he's doing defensive tackle snaps. Or, God forbid, like a couple years ago, Coyote Oshika had a step in for what was it? Glasgow. Yeah, Jonah Jackson, and he had to go get that Oliver, and he was ready to go. Like that's the little things that get you over the top. You know what I'm saying? Those are the little things that get you over the top. So that's the way I look at that.
Yeah, and this team, I think too, is they're in a really unique position because they have they had to overcome a pretty unbelievable weight of a franchise. Like, just a couple of years ago, this was like, are the Lions, can they even win a division? Can they even win a playoff game? This is now a locker room where a bulk of their guys now have been a part of 2 playoff teams. They've kind of overcome that first barrier of like, you're never going to be able to win anything, to where now it's, can you win a Super Bowl? So, I think the experience, the coaching, all of it, we'll see if, time will tell if they can get this thing to where everyone wants them to get it to and win a Super Bowl. But they really have all of the pieces and all of the, the little details and, the experience and all that kind of extra stuff beyond the talent that, you want a team to be able to go through. So it's going to be, this has been a fun season so far. There's still a lot to go, but I'm pretty excited to see kind of how this team evolves too throughout the year. And, we talked about Aleem McNeil. How does it look like when you start adding some of these pieces back, when some of these young guys continue to develop, and then just the team as a whole with, the new coordinators, how that, the new wrinkles get continue to put in there. Because I still probably think we haven't seen the best out of both these units still. So it's going to be, I think, quite a lot of fun. I think the team's probably at a better record than, maybe just as good as we all could have hoped for. Rewind to 0-1, people were talking about being 0-3 potentially. Now it looks like they have a really good chance to be 4-1. So I just think there's a lot to look forward to for sure.
It's interesting you brought that up about Jared Goff, because I got a stat for you, and this is probably the most interesting stat, and we'll kind of end it on this because we've gone through everything that we could possibly go through. Here's a stat for you guys. So this is a stat of the day. This is a big one. Jared Goff has the most QB wins, the highest completion percentage, and the most passing yards in the NFL since 2024. Only 3 QBs in Super Bowl era have had led the NFL in all 3 categories over a 3-season span. Hall of Fame Peyton Manning, Hall of Famer Steve Young, Hall of Famer Fran Tarkenton, and all 3 of those quarterbacks, they went to a Super Bowl in that span. Only one lost that Super Bowl, and that was Fran Tarkenton of the Vikings. But besides that, like that shows you're in rarefied air. And like I think about that Stafford trade that they made where they got Goff in it, and then those picks turned into J-Mo and Laporta and Brian Branch, and you're just like, dude, this was probably one of the biggest probably one of the boss moves that you would make as a general manager, and Brad Holmes did a damn good job at that. So it just goes to show you like where this team is going, where they're heading, and I think they'll be fine. I think they'll win this week. Obviously, I think next week with Monday Night Football, and you got the Chiefs, so that'll be interesting right there. But it'll be fun.
Yeah, no doubt. We got a couple primetime games coming up after this. Really looking forward to that Monday night game at home against Tampa. And then, yeah, the week before, I think I even saw the other day an initial game line on the Kansas City Detroit game. I think I saw Detroit plus 1.5, which I guess makes sense. But I definitely, that'll be Sunday Night Football. That's going to be a pretty fun matchup. So, get past this one. Make sure you win this one, and I think that'll be a pretty fun game to look forward to.
If you're plus 1.5, that's pretty much a pick 'em, and
Yeah.
like that's unheard of at Arrowhead. It
For
just
sure.
is. So
They're
it's not like you're going.
like they're hoping people pick the Chiefs, because I think a lot of people are going to pick the Lions in that spot.
It's such a these spreads are so open. Like the last week's spread was like 10, and that I thought that was a little bit too much. Because when you're talking 10 points in NFL, like all these guys say, like you're expecting them to compete and everything, but the Lions are just showing them out. I mean, even the Ravens game, like they were, what was it, 4.5 point dog?
Yeah,
And they
won by like 14.
Right. So
yeah.
And what I heard was, I was listening to a betting podcast. This is the most interesting thing. This is another stat for you. People are picking the alt lines of the Lions like crazy.
Yeah.
And if you go to the alt lines like a FanDuel or DraftKings, you'll notice that they've notched down the pluses.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. Like it's like double digit win. It's like not even that crazy.
It's like plus like 220, and you're like, like I remember a couple years ago when they were playing who were they playing? And I put it down as like a 10-point win or whatever, and it was like plus like 700. So you got good value on it.
Yeah.
But now you do that, and it's like the alternative line. You're like, damn, dude, like this is only like plus 100. You're like, this ain't even worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm better off just betting like touchdowns, like, to be honest. So it was very interesting. The good podcast today. Obviously, James is coming on a lot, and he's gonna be all here all season. But James is on Twitter. He's section 1. Wait, what was it? Section
344 Lions.
Okay, see, I was trying to pulled it up, and I was like, oh my god. But section 344 Lions. I'm Detroit Joe Chap on Twitter, so you can go there and get your rocks off. So we'll see you guys in the next podcast. We'll talk more Detroit Lions football here on Detroit Lions Podcast. As always, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you in the next one.